Well, who cares what Richard Dawkins said about poetry and about science? Why not miracles? I'm going to just simply say that. Why not miracles? Why not? Here's the thing. A miracle is when something happens that you really didn't expect to happen. And it's a positive thing. See, miracles have several elements to them. They're unexpected and they're positive. But what if a miracle is something you do expect? See, why are there necessarily certain rules about miracles? It has to do with a traditional view of a miracle, not so much a necessary view of a miracle. The traditional view of a miracle is one, it's done by God. Two, it's supernatural. And three, it has to be some really totally altering your life issue. It can't be a simple thing like, if I'm walking down the street and I'm thinking, man, it'd be nice if I had a penny. Let's say if I was in a store. Let's say if I walked in the store and something cost, $39.56. And I got $39.55. And the store owner is about to say, oh, forget about it. It's just a penny. But somebody said, I got a penny. Here you go, sir. I say, okay, good. That completes the sale. In other words, I would have got the item anyway. But here comes this miracle. A miracle. A penny. We don't see that as a miracle. Why? Because it's not spectacular. It's not awesome. But it could be for me. In that moment, I can look at it and say, wow, that's a gift from God. That's a miracle. See, I think what makes a miracle isn't so much that it's supernatural as it is, it's a psychological thing. A miracle is psychological. It's how you interpret things. And how we interpret things is set by rules of which we're conditioned. We are conditioned to see things as a miracle. At least for those of us who see things as a miracle. And you can also reprogram yourself. If you watch some puppies being born, which I watched something where these puppies were being born, and I saw that as a miracle. And somebody else could look at it and, say, that's not a miracle. That's a natural occurrence. That's not a miracle. Well, to me that's a miracle, and to that other person it's not a miracle. We're both looking at the same thing, but one of us sees a miracle and the other one doesn't. The question isn't, did a miracle happen? That's not even the question to ask. The question is, how is it possible that something could be a miracle for me and not be a miracle for somebody else? Well, I think it's the same way that how could it be that I could pick up a newspaper, which I have newspapers around here, from Spain, some which I bought back from Spain. Like I have one called ABC or ABC or C, as they would say in Spanish in Spain. And I could pick it up and read the articles in that paper. It's all in Spanish. I can read it. I do understand Spanish well enough to read a newspaper in Spanish. And someone else, some of my friends could pick up that paper and they can't read it. They all know that's Spanish, but I can't read it. So how is it possible that I can read a newspaper in Spanish and understand it clearly, and somebody else can read a newspaper in Spanish and not understand it? See, we don't even ask that question because the answer is so obvious. It's like, give me a break. Why even ask? You already know the answer to that. It's a matter of how we've conditioned our minds to understand something. I've gone through a lot of training learning how to understand Spanish. And I think miracles are that way. You have to look at it exactly that way. It's just simply how we interpret reality, not what reality is. So I'm going to go so far as to say that in reality, I suppose we could say that there are no miracles. But what there is that we can interpret things as miracles. So I asked the question again, why not miracle?